What's cracking, people?
We are back.
Nancy and X here, and welcome to Showtime Showcase. Today we are starting off with the first 3 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender in celebration or anticipation of the live-action Netflix remake coming out.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that at some point.
Yeah, we will.
Whatever happens. So. I will start by saying that for a Nickelodeon show that came out in 2005,
it still
holds up remarkably well.
It's still good.
And the thing about it is that it is a mostly comedic show.
Yeah.
But the first 5 minutes of the very first episode
explains everything.
Tells you everything you need to know about the world, the setting, and what is in it. And then it just goes from there. It doesn't waste time after that.
No.
Then we're introduced to two of our main leads,
yes.
Sokka and Katara, and we get to see how water bending works in this world. Because for those of you who haven't seen Avatar: Last Airbender, there are 4 nations:
yes.
water, earth, fire, and wind.
Yes.
And how it works is that each of these nations practice a different bending style, which means that they can control elements. The water nation water tribe controls water. The Earth Kingdom controls the element of Earth. The Air Nomads control air, and the Fire Nation controls fire. And each one can bend only one element. Aside from the Avatar, who can bend all 4 elements.
Yes.
They have the ability to do so, but every time they die, they are reincarnated into a new cycle, and they have to relearn how to bend all the elements all over again.
Yeah, but the way they did it, it was so genius.
Yes. And they start the episode because I remember the episode starting off. Every episode would start off with the intro talking about how everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. And they go on to like the first 5 minutes of like how it's been like a 100-year war, that kind of thing. But after this one, episode afterwards, it shows our third protagonist, Aang, our main person, the Avatar, on the canyon cliff. Because the first episode they don't show him; they just show that it's empty. But after he's always there. And it just zooms out, and from there it just goes on because they don't rehash the same intro over and over again. It's like 30 seconds, recap of the setting, boom, we hit it and go.
Yep.
But the first one, we see Katara waterbending, we see how it works. It's very, very slow, very kind of delicate looking. Yeah. And Sokka, he doesn't care for it.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's a boy, he's a hunter, he's macho man, that kind of thing,
right?
Yeah. And immediately, Katara lifts a fish out the water with water bending while he's trying to spear a fish.
Yeah.
He ends up hitting the bubble, it pops and the fish hits him on the head while the fish escapes while the water hits him on the head.
Yeah.
And the comedy is always on point,
Yes.
And afterwards, the enemy is trying on something, on an iceberg. And he's mad at Katara, telling you're water bending, yada yada yada. I want you to be a girl and do all this stuff. And she starts yelling at him, calling him an egotistical, sexist, whatever. And we see that waterbending, bending in general, if you don't control your emotions, can get out of control really bad. And she starts tearing up this massive iceberg and whatnot.
It splits in half, it goes into the water, and like 2 seconds after that, man, Katara they see this sphere come out the water and it lights up, and they see a boy in that sphere. She takes, isn't it his boomerang?
No, not boomerang. It's because Sokka has like 2 weapons inside the entire series.
Yeah.
One is his boomerang. The other one is like this. I can only assume it's like a sword, but it has like this like bludgeoned ball thing at the end of it.
Yeah.
And she starts hitting the iceberg with that, and then out of it bursts this giant column of air.
Yeah.
And then Aang crawls out of it. He's still glowing with his airbender tattoos. They fade. He falls over, and then he's right into being a kid.
Yeah.
Because Aang's 13 years old at this point. He's just acting like this energetic 15-year-old. And we see how airbending works. It's very like floaty. It's very energetic, and he just takes nothing seriously.
No, he really doesn't. He's just having fun with life. He don't know what's going on. He literally thinks. I think he said like, and this probably not been in the first episode, but I thought he said something well, how long have I been asleep?
It's in the second episode.
Okay.
Because what happens is they end up taking them back to the base. Taking them back. He takes them back because their canoe is destroyed. So they get on Appa after Appa.
I love Appa.
Appa's best character. After Appa sneezes this giant snot bubble at Sokka. And so he's like, okay, I can fly you back on my flying bison.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, yep. Appa jumps, doesn't fly, just falls into the water and starts swimming.
Yeah.
and he takes him back, and they meet. He meets the water tribe.
Yep.
Sokka's trying to teach all the kids who are maybe 3 years old, you gotta be warriors, stuff like that. And it's all these kids, and then they want to play with Appa and whatnot.
Yeah.
They take nothing seriously in the first episode, but you also get this idea that Aang is somebody more important than what he leads on to be.
Yeah, of
He has
course.
a secret that he's hiding. Katara is eager to learn bending from another bender, which, interesting concept. She's the only waterbender in her tribe right now, because we found out that, the Fire Nation came and took them all.
That's so wild.
And then, after that, they go out and they start penguin sledding. Which is honestly...
That was fun, I ain't gonna lie.
The animation for them going through that tunnel and seeing him airbend to go faster and just scooting around, it looks like so much fun. And then they come to a Fire Nation ship, which
Lord.
is mounted on this giant, these pillars of ice, showing that at some point waterbenders beached this Fire Nation ship.
Yeah.
And Aang goes in it and explores it, and he says the first thing they beat up and they gotta have no fear. Which to some degree is true.
Yeah.
But when Aang goes in, he sees all the weapons and all the stuff. He asks Katara, you say that I was in that ice for a long time. How long was I out?
Yeah.
And Katara says, if you don't know a war's going on, it's got to have been at least 100 years.
Yeah, and he's just in shock too.
Because he didn't think he'd be gone that long.
No, he didn't. He really didn't.
And then they end up accidentally setting off a flare, which end up signaling our main antagonist for the season, Prince Zuko. Princess Zuko.
Yeah.
Prince Zuko.
Yeah.
And
I like Zuko. He's fun.
Zuko is fun. He's charismatic, and he's played by I think by Dante Bosco.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
And honestly, it's weird hearing Jake Long's voice coming out of that mouth, but I could.
I know. Yeah. It's crazy to me. I'm like, hold on a minute. Hold on.
Because it's the exact same voice. It's just it's just a different demeanor.
Yeah.
But I can look past it because it is basically a different character.
Yeah. But,
also because I believe that's actually how Dante Bosco sounds in real life.
No, he does. Yeah, he does. And but Prince Zuko is just all he just focuses on is trying to please his father, but he's determined to get the Avatar.
And we find this out in the second part of this two-part pilot.
Yeah.
That he wants him because what's going for here? That is his only ticket back home. So we learn in that one sentence that he's banished.
Yeah, his father
and he can only come back.
His own father banished him.
Well, see, we don't learn that to episode 3.
Oh, sorry, Jesus.
Yeah, learn that in episode 3, but in episode 2, we just learned that he
he
cannot come back until he finds the Avatar.
Yeah.
And we end up going to a he ends up going to the water tribe, which is only it's a small village. When most of them are old, some kids and Sokka. That's literally it.
Yeah. So
Aang comes back after he ends up getting exiled from the village, and because they set off the flare. They're not supposed to set the flare.
Yeah.
He doesn't get exiled because they think he's a Fire Nation spy. He leaves because he doesn't want to start a fight. So we learn there that Aang does not like violence. He's not a fighter. He's very much a pacifist.
That's true.
So he ends up coming back after Zuko's ship comes through, invades the area, and he willingly gives himself up. Doesn't even put up a fight. He just gives himself up. He says, if you leave now, leave people alone, I will come with you.
Yes.
And that was just part of Aang's plan. We find out that Aang, he does things and stuff. He had no intention of being imprisoned by these people. He basically let himself get captured, let them get far enough away from the village that he could then use his airbending. And we find his airbending is basically only used as a passive defensive mechanism or a mobility mechanism.
And he is so smart. Like you said, like you said, he's not planning ahead. He just knows what the right thing to do is at the time. But when he sees the opportunity, he's gonna take it.
Yeah, he thinks on the fly, which is very interesting. And then because it's very interesting in how that's used in the actual fight for us. Because our first bender fight between him and Zuko. Zuko's firing off his fireballs, Aang's going around. At one point, Aang takes Zuko's mattress, airbends him into a wall, and then airbends him up into the ceiling.
I was like, yo. But the fact they had put comedy within a serious moment, I was like, yo, that is pretty creative.
And it doesn't break pace either.
No, it doesn't.
Because here's the reason why I say it doesn't break pace. What usually happens when these comedic fight moments happen is that the person who did the comedy wants to stop and make a one-liner or let the moment sink.
Yeah.
It basically pauses so the audience can laugh.
Yes.
Avatar, it just keeps going and moves through it, and it knows that while you're laughing, you gotta get to the next scene.
Yeah.
So the scene's still going while you're having your laugh.
It goes from comedic and then pop back to seriousness, and it works so well.
And then afterwards, like Aang does. I think he does an Avatar state thing where he starts water bending like crazy.
Yeah.
Then he comes back down. Katara and Sokka come with Appa. Appa now flying, and Sokka's like, "Look, he's flying! He's flying!" And then Katara's like, I mean, it's cool.
He was so excited. I was like, come on, Sokka, come on.
Like, you're like a flying bison.
Yeah, you know you do.
But yeah, after that, he ends up escaping. We know that the Avatar star's there. Katara freezes some people, and Zuko's like, after them.
Man,
and you see him be following the people. Like, okay, finish that up first, then we go after them.
I'm like, how do y'all do that again for the second time? Y'all incorporate comedy again, and then back to seriousness.
Yeah,
it works so well in the show.
And then we have another moment where Aang basically it hits Aang that maybe he is the last.
Oh yes, episode.
He is yes the Avatar. That's at the end of the episode. And then after he has his moment with Katara and Sokka, he goes, okay, but first things first, before we start learning any bending, we all want to go here to write this, here to write this, here to write this. He basically goes back into being a kid.
I'm like, what? Wait a minute, I'm like, hold on. Time out. How did you just say to me like,
oh no, wait, my bad. I jumped forward ahead a bit. That happens at the end of the third episode. Where he goes to the Airbender, the air temple.
That's right.
I forgot about that.
Okay.
And this one is probably the most serious one because here we go up to the air temple, and this is where we find out that all of his people are dead. That he has that the people that I think it's Monk Gyasto, basically like his father in the air temple. He's dead. The Fire Nation invaded the temple somehow. We don't know. I don't think it's ever explained. No. It is explained, but it's in a very, very, very later episode.
Yeah, but it's just like.
But as far as right now, we just don't know.
Yeah.
And so Katara and Sokka are trying to keep him happy, keep him cheered up, keep him energetic, so that way he's not feeling so dejected about essentially leaving his people to die.
Yeah.
Because he ran away from home. But Sokka basically rightly points out to Katara, you can't hide this from him forever.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we cut to B plot with Zuko at a Fire Nation base where he bumps into Commander Zhao.
Bruh.
And Commander Zhao welcomes him in, but he's also welcoming his uncle Iroh, who actually is he's a prince. He's one of the big generals. He's hugely respected in the Fire Nation. Even if Zuko is banished in disgrace, no one's going to talk smack to Iroh.
Oh, no. That I know for.
And Iroh is by far the best character in the series.
Lord have mercy. That man is a G.
Like, Mako, rest his soul, was a fantastic choice to play this character.
Yes,
he is funny, he speaks with a wise tone, and he's able to basically...
Yeah, he's always wise, every single time.
Even when he's cracking wise, when he's making jokes, he's still, like, you can tell that he's trying to impart a message at the same time. So, when, Zuko's crew's getting interrogated about the Avatar, about why his ship got destroyed or got so beat up by Zhao, Zuko's trying to lie so that way, no one's chasing him, because the more people who know about it, the more people who chase him, the less chance he has of bringing the Avatar back home.
Exactly.
And his chance of coming in. But then Commander Zhao dropped the big bombshell. It's been 2 years. If your dad wanted you back, you would have been back. And this is when we learned that Zuko was banished by his own father.
Yeah, and when that man said that, I was like, that's savage.
But it is true. And Zuko, in the back of his mind, knows it. And for a split moment, you see Iroh, Zuko's father's brother.
Yeah. And
you can see in that moment that Iroh was like, Zhao has a point, but I still don't like that he said it to my nephew.
Yeah, I know.
It's like Zhao has a point, but you didn't have to say it.
Yeah, but again, it's just like with facial expression.
Yeah.
He knows how to to implicate when he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Without truly showing he's pissed off.
And the animation is still so good. Though.
Yeah,
And this is the early episodes when animation is at its worst.
Yes.
Because remember, anytime an animation show goes on, ideally it should be getting a bigger budget so they can get more animation, more paper to have more frames of animation. This was very much early on in his lifespan, as far as we're watching on Netflix right now, and the animation still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, it really does.
But anyway, as we go through let's go back to the A plot with the Avatar crew.
Yeah.
You know, we end up going into a temple area.
Yeah.
A shrine, I guess, to the Avatar in the Air Temple, and we see again another instance of world building where we see all of Aang's past lives, and we see that Aang somehow knows the names of these people.
Yeah.
I've never met them with no engraving, and we also see the Avatar cycle.
Yes.
I believe the Avatar cycle goes earth, water. No, it goes air, water, earth, fire, back.
Yeah.
And the last Avatar before Aang was a firebender.
Yeah.
Named Roku.
Okay.
Avatar Roku.
Okay.
And that's the one that Aang calls out because he sits there and stares directly at the statue for a hot minute.
No, he does.
And then we introduced to the next best character, Momo, the lemur. And then Sokka and Aang's like, lemur! So I was like, "Boo!" And they both start chasing after the lemur.
Come here, lemur!
And they end up chasing him to the remains of Gyatso.
Yes.
Where he's basically been, what we can implicate from the scene is that he's been backed into a corner by Fire Nation soldiers and killed, but he went out fighting them.
Yeah.
And this is when it hits for Aang that, yes, your people are dead, and then he goes into this rage state. Yeah. And this rage state activates all the temples over the world. So now everybody knows he's alive.
Yeah, everybody knows, and then that's when Commander Zhao finds out.
No, he found out before that. Commander Zhao hasn't even killed the crew.
Yeah.
But that's when the Fire Nation is now aware.
Yes.
But at the same time, we probably go back to Zhao and Zuko, and Zuko at this point is so enraged with Zhao that he challenges him to a fight. And then after Zhao agrees to it, Iroh then drops one more line, and all Iroh says is, "Are you sure you want to do this, Zuko? You remember what happened the last time you dueled the master?" And it just zooms in on this burn mark on his face. We still don't know at this point who gave him the scar.
No, we don't. We really don't.
All we know is that he fought somebody who was a master firebender.
And they gave him that mark
to remind him. So we end up going to the fight, and the fight is so good. It's like all of 2-3 minutes long.
Yes.
But we see how firebending works, how their martial art style is. We see the different approaches to it, and we see that firebenders can produce fire from nothing.
Yes.
Whereas waterbenders and earthbenders, we kind of learn that they have to be kind of around things, and air's always around.
Yeah, of course.
So they're basically OP as all get out. But it's the way to describe this fight is that it's still so energetic, and the best part is it's emotionally packed too.
It really is.
Zhao's out to basically disgrace a prince and prove that he is, Commander Zhao, he's big and bad.
Yeah.
Zuko, his pride and his honor is on the line, as well as his ability to hunt the
true.
Avatar. And that's what makes a fight interesting. You can't just have two characters fight for the sake of fighting. Something has to be on the line.
Yes. It has to be a reason. It has to be something worth fighting for you to be at this moment.
Otherwise, the fight has no impact. It has no weight. It has no weight. It's boring.
Yeah.
But at this point, and then ultimately Zuko does win the fight, and Zhao is taunting him to finish it. So and for a moment there, it looks like Zuko basically scars Zhao the same way he was scarred, but he doesn't. He just fires off a shot, it misses him, and he just walks away.
Yes.
And then Zhao gets so angry that he tries to cheat shot Zuko, and all you see is his foot covered in fire trying to take him down, and then Iroh just comes out of nowhere, grabs Zhao by the foot, and then just does this. Yes. And you see Zhao go flying so far back for just a simple shove. And I was just like, is this what's come of the great Commander Zhao?
Yeah.
Even in exile, my nephew has more honor than you.
I was like,
and then he turns around and says, thanks for the tea, and walks away. And then Zuko's sitting here, he has the biggest grin on his face. He's like, did you mean that? Uncle? I was like, yeah, it was good tea. I was like, what the heck?
I was like, yo, his uncle's that's just an OG. The fact that you said that and Zuko asked you, did you mean that? Yeah, it was good tea. he said with confidence. Didn't hesitate. I'm like, now that's savage right there.
Because in that moment, it's like we know that Iroh basically means he does mean that he thinks that Zuko has more honor than what he says.
Yeah.
But I think in that moment he's not saying it because I think we can basically infer that Iroh wants Zuko to learn that for himself.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and we established right there what Iroh wants.
Yes.
Which knowing what I know about this series and how all that story plays out, it makes it even more heartwarming to see that early
No, it
on.
really does. It really does.
I won't give away anything right now if you
Yeah,
haven't
we
seen
won't.
it, or if you're going to watch it with us after you go through.
Yeah.
Oh dear, it's so good. But after that, you know, we cut back to the Avatar gang, and Aang has his moment where he says, "I really am the last Airbender, and now I have to learn all these elements." And then the episode ends with that. Before we do all that, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go here. And that's the end of the first 3 episodes. We learned a lot in 3 episodes, but there's still more to learn.
It's crazy.
And it's like looking back on that, it's like the amount of stuff they were able to get away with, the amount they were able to pack into 3 episodes, 2 of which were spent in one location.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's honestly phenomenal.
Very phenomenal.
And after that, you know,
I'm still impressed every time I see it.
and I'm looking forward to going back through this series again. Like, I have not seen this series in about 13 years at this point.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's been for me, but I know it's been years.
Yeah.
It's been years.
And the fact that I haven't just some of it still, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I feel like anyone can watch this.
Yes.
And one reason why I firmly believe that you can have a cartoon or a show that's designed to be aesthetically appealing to kids.
Yes.
But still have it be universal enough that anyone can sit down and watch
Correct.
it.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because I remember back at Amazon, one of the people that we worked with, he told me that he was going to sit down and watch it with his wife, and he was having a blast watching it.
Yeah.
Because he had never seen it before in his life.
Did his wife enjoy it?
Yeah, his wife enjoyed it too.
Oh, there you go.
He said they were both having a blast watching it.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I like hearing that. I love hearing that.
And he was like, I want to do it had to be like 40 years old.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, and
I enjoy that. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I love hearing stories like that.
And this is what this is what I want to convey is that a good show,
Yes.
a good movie, a good game doesn't target a specific group.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at. If you're not targeting something and just do it based off the script and make it work well, I will watch it.
Yeah.
If it makes sense.
Yeah. Not to mention it's like I feel like a lot of people are like, okay, this has to be for this age group. Okay, that
No,
makes
it don't.
sense. No, it doesn't have to be. You can still have a show that doesn't go too far into the hardcore realm.
Yeah.
Like they're making a this kind of side note here. They're making a Scooby-Doo series that's meant to revolve solely around Velma.
Oh God.
But it's going to be an R-rated show, and for some reason she's like Eastern Asian. This is I saw this recently. I don't know when it's coming out. I think it's called Velma.
Not watching.
And I'm just like,
I'm good.
why?
I'm good.
It just seems unnecessary.
I'm good.
I want to look more into it off screen just to see what it's about. But it sounds like this thing is meant to target a specific demographic. And I can already tell you right now, if it's going to be R-rated and targeted a specific demographic, it's going to fail.
It is going to fail.
But once again, we'll take a look at it
Yeah.
more to see if it's just off of what I've seen preliminarily. I don't think there's much information out about it right now aside from the premise and what it's supposed to be about.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like with Avatar, I feel like you could be at any age sit down.
No,
and
you
watch
can.
the show.
Any age. No matter what.
I remember my nephews were sitting here watching it for the very first time, and they were having a blast.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sat here watching. I was up there on the counter, and I was just sitting here just watching a few episodes, just a few minutes. I'm just like, yeah, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. It still holds up. Man, I'm telling hey, that's always gonna be a classic. It's good. It's very good.
Anyway, we'll see you next week for the next few episodes.
Yeah.
Until then, I've been announcing. This is the next. Deuces.
Peace.